Hey guys, I'm Steve Freeman. On today's episode of the Steve Freeman Podcast, I'm going to give you some harsh words, but I think that you need to hear them. Do you need a manager? Hell no, you don't need a manager, and I'm going to tell you why on today's episode of the Steve Freeman Podcast. Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the Steve Freeman Podcast, the real, raw truth about the pursuit of success in music, business, and life. Here's your host, hit songwriter, multi-platinum selling producer, and serial entrepreneur, Steve Freeman.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Steve Freeman Podcast. So good to have you here. While you're here, don't forget, rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast if you're listening on Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere. Make sure you are rating and reviewing. Keep us in Apple's top 200 podcast and the top 30 for the music genre. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, hello. Don't forget to rate the video by liking it, subscribe to the channel, and leave your comments about what you thought about the episode below. And I probably will respond because I respond to most of the comments. If you're not following me on social media, please do so. It's at The Steve Freeman everywhere on all social media platforms. If you'd like to become a member of my inner circle, I would love to have you. Go to thestevefreeman.com and input your email address. That way I can sell it to all these other companies and make millions and millions of dollars off of your email address. I'm joking. I never do that. Just some cool music industry tips, tricks, thoughts, and advice from me, occasionally delivered straight to your inbox. It's also your gateway to take my free artist development masterclass. You can find all of it at thestevefreeman.com. And as always, the podcast brought to you by the Artist Development Academy, artistdevelopmentacademy.com. It is the number one resource for you aspiring songwriters, artists, producers, engineers, music industry professionals. Get the information, the education, the guidance that you need to be successful in the music business. Not famous, but successful. I promise you, through online courses, weekly live streams, one-on-one access, the community forum where you can post your work and get feedback. You can find collaborators and friends and co-writers. You can ask a pro, get the advice that you need. All of that, great member services to help you succeed if you're an aspiring songwriter, artist, producer, engineer, or music industry professional. Find out more information at artistdevelopmentacademy.com. All right, let's jump into the meat of today's episode. And as you can probably tell, those of you that are listening to the podcast, you cannot tell. Those of you that are watching the podcast on YouTube, I have absolutely no fucking notes, no bullshit here on the table today. This is me off the top of my head coming to you to make a plea. I get probably, I would say, maybe 100 to 150 messages, direct messages on Instagram every week, maybe 25 to 30 emails of people sending me links to their music and telling me that they need a manager. Now, I'm just going to be real honest with you, and I'm going to tell you exactly the thought process that runs through my head when I get that. Now, I want to preface all this by saying I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be rude. And I certainly don't want to discourage anyone from trying to be successful in their career. What I think is that the people that do this are uneducated, and dare I even say ignorant. And if you take ignorant to mean or like be offended by that, then you don't know what the term ignorant means, and you need to look it up in the dictionary. I'm not calling you stupid. I'm calling you uninformed, uneducated. That's what I'm calling you. All these people send me these emails and these direct messages, and they think because they have a single, because they have an album, because they have an EP, because they have a fucking Instagram page, that they need a manager. I want to run down some facts for you guys because this is so important, and I want you. How many times have I say it almost every episode? If it is to be, it's up to me. I've never said that phrase, if it is to be, it's up to my manager. Or if it is to be, it's up to my booking agent. Or if it is to be, it's up to my social media manager. If it is to be, it's up to me. Now, let me tell you about management companies, and we're going to throw booking agencies in there as well. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again, but listen up. Managers make a percentage of what you, the artist, makes. So if you're out there making dick, that means they make dick. And dick in this case means nothing. Okay, is that sinking in? Why would a manager that has spent years in the business creating the relationships necessary to help his artist be successful and continue to be successful, why would they waste their time with an artist that is not currently generating revenue? Because again, they only make a percentage of what you, the artist, is making. If you aren't making anything, they're going to make 15 or 20% of nothing. This is the music business. We are in this business to make money. We are not in this business to fulfill our passions or fulfill our dreams or fulfill that fantasy that we've all had of being successful and fulfilling that picture or that determination of what we think success looks like, what it is material-wise, if it's the big houses or the cars or the award shows or the plaques on the wall. None of that mean anything. So why do you think that you need a manager? I'll tell you why you think you need a manager. Because you're lazy. That's why. There is not a single thing that a manager can do for you right now in your career where you are that you cannot do for yourself. What you want to happen is you want a manager with credibility to listen to your music or watch your video or think you're special and think you're great, and you want them to take a portion of their very valuable time into putting into artist development for you. You want them to use the valuable relationships and resources that they've built up for you. You are not that special. Now, I'm going to let that sink in for just a few minutes. You are not that good. You are not that special. You've heard me say this a million times. This business is predicated and it runs on a basis that everybody wants to jump on a moving train, but nobody wants to shovel the coal to get it going. If you want to get your career going and you want to get your train moving down the road, you are going to have to shovel the fucking coal. You are going to have to get your clothes dirty. You're going to have to sweat. You're going to have to bleed. You're going to have to get the calluses on your hand that come from picking up that shovel and physically putting it in the coal and shoving it into the furnace every day, minute after minute, hour after hour, month after month, and year after year. And if you aren't willing to do that, if you think you are so special and you're in a position that you think that you shouldn't have to do that there's somebody else that should have to do that for you, I'm telling you, you will never make it. You will never be successful. You will stay right where you are right now. Yes, at some point, artists need management. But let me tell you, those of you that are sending me those links, again, no disrespect, but those of you that are at the point in your career where you're sending me and saying, I need a manager. Do you do artist management? Can you refer me to a manager? You have nothing to manage. Trust me, if you had something going on, if your train was already moving, you wouldn't be reaching out to me. You wouldn't have to reach out to me because the reputable managers that you want to do business with would be reaching out to you. If you think you need a manager and you don't have managers contacting you, then you don't need a manager. The world that we live in today with social media and everybody posting everything, and it's impossible to do anything behind the scenes, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. Trust me, if you were doing something worth their attention, they would be calling you. You wouldn't have to be calling them because it is your job to put yourself on their radar. I know a lot of you spend a lot of your time emailing managers, emailing booking agents, sending messages, Facebook messages, direct messages, everything, when you could be spending that time doing things that actually will help you and assist you move on in your career. Instead, you use that time very unwisely to sit around and try to find somebody else to do the job for you when you could be doing the job yourself. At its fundamental base, listen to me. If you don't get anything else, listen to this. Managers and booking agents make a percentage of what you make. If you aren't making anything, then they don't make anything. And we are in a business of making money. I don't care how talented you are. I don't care how good you are. Neither does anybody else in the music business. No publishing company, no record label, no booking agency, no reputable management company. William Morris Endeavor and CAA and Paradigm, all those, they value their contract at $1,500, just the paper that it's printed on. So at 15% of what they make of you, the artist, if you're not bringing in $10,000 a show, which would give them their $1,500 commission, they're not interested. Ooh, now I can tell, I can feel the air physically coming out of bodies right now and get so disappointed. That's the truth. Now, there are a lot of other people that will tell you that's not the case. Oh, well, William Morris signs artists that aren't making $10,000 a night all the time. I know so-and-so, she just signed over there. I know this artist, he just signed over there. Yes, they will sign those artists. And you know what they use those artists for? They use those artists as added value for the artists that are bringing in revenue. That means they're going to send you out to open for an artist that is making 10 grand a night or more to play for fucking free. Well, you can go out and play for free anywhere. Now, you're going to say, well, Steve, yeah, but I mean, I'll go out and I play for free, but I get to open for this artist that's established, and their fan base is not there to see you. Their fan base is there to see them. And people's attention span and their worlds have shrunk so much, they don't have room and or time and or resources or money to support multiple artists. So they could give a shit less of who's opening for so-and-so tonight. Sure, they might like your music. A couple of them may come up and maybe buy a CD, but that's depending on half of you don't even have merch to sell. Half of you don't even have music to sell in physical form. You're trusting, well, you can download it on Apple Music. You can stream it on Spotify. You're not even prepared to take advantage of that opportunity should it come to you. I know I'm being harsh today. I know it. But I literally, 2 seconds before I walked into the studio, I got another DM from another artist asking me about management. And within 30 seconds of doing just a tiny bit of research, I know that this artist is nowhere near needing a management company or needing a manager. Now, you think that you need one to get places that you want to go. But if you don't have something to manage, there's nothing to take anywhere. Let me tell you a little story about publicist and publicity. You all think, I've got a new EP coming out. I've got to hire a publicist. Any publicist worth their grain of salt is going to tell you that they need to start a minimum of 90 days before the launch. And they need to work the launch and then 90 days after the launch. Any publicist that's worth a shit here in Nashville or Los Angeles is going to cost you starting at $3,500 a month. So there you've got $10,000 before the project has even launched, before they've really done anything. And then you've got $10,000 at the end of it. If you hire a publicist, it's going to cost you 40 grand to do an adequate project, a campaign, if you will. Because a lot of you are running around thinking, oh, I just need somebody doing the work, so I'm going to hire this publicist over here. She's $500 a month, and she is shit. There's a reason she charges $500 a month, because she's never done anything of importance or have the relationships that it would take to get a bigger paying client and a higher client and one of higher stature that she could use to make more money. So you're in the $3,500 to $5,000 range of what it's going to cost per month retainer for a good publicist. And you are nowhere near that point. I will also tell you this. Any good publicist will tell you They do not create the story. They spread the story. Many of you don't have a story worth telling. Many of you are also under the misconception that you think that if you hire this manager or you hire this publicist, that they're going to create the story. Because I understand most of you realize you don't have the story. You don't know what you're doing. And that's great. Hey, they tell you in Alcoholics Anonymous, I've never been a drinker, I don't know, but I've seen enough movies to know that they tell you the first step is admitting that you have a problem. So I know that a lot of you have admitted you don't know what you're doing, and that's a good thing. But the answer to not knowing what you're doing is not go hire somebody that does. The answer to that problem and that equation is for you to gain the knowledge and experience for yourself. Make the relationships for yourself. Think about it from this aspect as well as with a manager, okay? When a manager does sign you up, or you get to have a manager or a management company working on your behalf, they are using their relationships. So all you're doing is renting their relationships. You are building none of those relationships for yourself. So the minute that relationship ends with that manager, that booking agent, or that publicity firm, the minute your relationship with them ends, your relationship with their contacts ends as well. So this $40,000, $50,000 you're going to spend is really going to get you nowhere unless you keep paying them. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the music business at its finest. That's why we take in, we chew up, and we spit out so many artists, because Nashville and Los Angeles, the streets are paved with broken dreams. The idea is to get you here and get you in process of spending money and making you feel like you've got to keep spending the money to keep the hamster on the wheel until one day your hamster just fucking dies on the wheel. And you pack him and you go back to Oklahoma City or wherever it is you're from. That is, I know it's hard to hear and you don't understand this, but that is how the music business is set up. That is how the music business works. Nobody here wants you to be fucking successful. We want you to come here and spend money. That's it. Nobody here cares if you make it to the next level. We only care if you make it to the next level if you can pay us the next higher rate. Guys, I'm just being truthful with you here. That's not to say that there are a lot of people in this business that can be helpful. I feel like I'm helpful. I charge a lot of money to produce a record because I'm fucking good at what I do. I'm an expert. Now, what you take with that record and go and do, I don't give a shit. That is not my job. My job is not to make you successful. My job is to give you a record that can make you successful, to produce a record that puts you on a level playing field with the major artist. That's my job. My job is not to secure your success or get you to the next level. Our relationship in the exchange ends when I hand you a master. But so many of you, again, going back, you think you need a manager. You think you need a publishing or a publicist. You think you need a booking agent because you're either lazy or too scared to do the work yourself. I lay out a plan in my free artist development masterclass of showing you how to book shows. Now, the reason that a lot of people don't agree with my methodology is because if you're honest with yourself, somewhere in your mind, you see yourself making $5,000 a night or making $10,000 a night, and you don't want to make $250 a night or $500 a night or $1,000 a night because you think you're better than that. Hey, I'm at the point I need a manager. I need a publicist. I'm an artist that needs a manager. I'm not going to play for $250 a night, or I'm not going to play this bar over here for free this time so they pay me next time. I'm not going to sacrifice because I'm an artist that's at a point that needs a manager and needs a booking agent. Now, I know that seems a little over the top, but I swear to God, that is what's going on in your head. because you will not just be honest with yourself and realize that you are the one that's going to have to do the heavy lifting. I promise you that if you do the heavy lifting and you do it properly, you will get the attention of somebody that is interested in what it is that you do. If somebody that is in a position to help you, wants to help you, and thinks they will benefit from helping you, you won't have to reach out to them. They will reach out to you. So if you think you're in that position, then you're not making enough noise. You're not doing enough on your own to get that attention and to get on these people's radars. You are the key to getting a booking agent. You are the key to getting a great management company to represent you. You are the key to that. You are the one responsible, not your EP, not your album, not your new single, not I've got 25,000 views on my video, so you should be my manager. You have got to place yourself on their radar. I'm going to give you a little hint, a little secret here. And although the music business changes day after day after day, there is one rule that never really changes in the music business. And that is the answer is always no, unless it's their idea. If you have to ask for something in this business, the answer will always be no. You send your EP to a record label. Sorry, it's not what we're looking for right now. You send your songwriting demos to a publishing company. Sorry, we're not signing any writers at the moment. And then you open up Music Row the next day and just see where every publishing company that you've sent your demo to has signed 15 writers. You see that every day. They have to want you. It doesn't matter how fucking bad you want them. Matter of fact, the more you look like you want them, the less they want you. It has to be their idea. They have to want you. There is nothing that you can do or say to make them want you when they don't. Listen to that very carefully. You should be doing your job to make sure you get on their radar. Stop emailing them. Stop calling them. Stop sending them direct messages. Let your art stand for itself. Let me tell you how the easiest way an artist gets signed to a record label in Nashville is to not need one. That's the new model. Major labels aren't over here at Tootsie's or down at 3rd and Lindsley or any of these other bars late at night. Do you really think that the A&R executives that have the decision-making power and ability, do you think they're out at fucking 10:30 at night to come see your fucking show at some Belcourt Taps or whatever? No, they're not. They're way past that. You have got to do the heavy lifting. Let your art stand on itself. If you're doing your job and you're putting in the work, that's going to become evident and you will get on their radar. And y'all, I know you're sitting there and you go, well, Steve, that doesn't sound very promising. It's not. Because you've chosen to be in a business with no promises, no guarantees, and 2 and 2 never equals 4. You have a better shot of getting struck by lightning or walking into a casino and walking out a millionaire than you do of having any type of success in this business. That is just 100% truth and honesty coming right at you. Chances are you are not and will not achieve the type of success that you have predetermined in your mind. What I try to do through this podcast and my business and the Artist Development Academy is show you, I'll tell you, in all honesty, for me, artist development is more about redefining the definition of success that you have pictured in your brain to make it the right definition. Just because you can't achieve the type of success that you see in your brain and that you have predetermined does not mean that you can't be successful. What it means is that you do not have an obtainable definition of the word stuck in your brain. I cannot tell you the number of times that I have sat with an artist and I have asked them what their goals are. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? If I have heard this answer one time, I've heard it a million fucking times. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Playing stadiums. Yeah, you're fucking stupid. If anybody listening to this right now, honestly, you see yourself playing stadiums in 5 years, you're about to waste the next 5 years of your life. The chances of that happening, like I said, better that you're going to get struck by lightning or that you walk in a casino and walk out a millionaire. It is about having the correct definition in your brain. Even picture boards are a huge thing. There was this whole thing back in the day, when The Secret came out, and it was all about visual boards and that you can physically manifest your dreams. No, the fuck you can't. You can't. I trust me, I've been trying to physically manifest that Lamborghini for 10 years. And I wake up every day and I walk downstairs and I grab my cigarettes and I walk out front thinking that someday, maybe today's the day, that fucking Aventador is going to just be sitting there. I won't have had to have gone to the dealership. I won't have had to have paid for it. I won't have had to done. It'll just fucking be there because I can manifest it. I put the picture on my fucking mirror in the bathroom. I stare at it every day. I pray to it. I don't understand why it just hasn't manifested itself. I know that I'm over the top with it. But I'm over the top with it to show you that whether you really want to believe it or not, many of you out there, that's the voice inside your head. You get sold this bill of goods over and over and over again, that in this modern age that we live in, that anything you want is obtainable and achievable without the work, without you having to do your part. Get somebody else to do it. And I've just never known anybody in my life that has been successful on those terms, that has not, even along the way to their success, had to redefine exactly what it meant to them. You can't take somebody else's achievement of success and apply it as your definition. I promise that if you do that, you are going to be disappointed and you're going to fail so many times when you didn't have to. So if you're out there and you think you need a manager, you think you need a booking agent, go look in the mirror and tell yourself, I'm lazy. I can do this job. Because I can tell you the people that you want to work with, the management companies you want to be signed to, they will find you if they are interested. They are not going to use the years of experience they have to help somebody who hasn't put in the hard work. They are not in the artist development business. They are in the money-making business. If you're making money, they'll be more than happy to take 15% of it. If you're still struggling, you're still finding your way, you're still in the development process but haven't gotten there yet, they have no interest in getting you there. There's just not enough return in it for them. And I think a lot of this too comes down to something we've talked about in the past, and that is so many of you walk around with this thing that there should be this group of people that just believe in you. And I think that comes from areas in our childhood and how kids have been raised the last 20 years of everybody gets a trophy. There are no losers. Everybody wins. And then all of a sudden, when you get kicked out into the real world and out into the business world, people lose more than they win. And there are no trophies. But you've been bred to think that you're great, that you're awesome, that your talent is valuable and that it means something. And that the more talented you are, and if you're better than everybody else, then you should win the game. And it's just not that way. So I say to you, if you think you need a manager, you're lazy. If you think you need a booking agent, you are lazy. Managers need something to manage. And if you're spending your time trying to find a manager, then you don't have anything to manage. Because if you did, your phone would already be ringing. That's it for another episode of the Steve Freeman Podcast, guys. I know I was harsh today. And again, I'm not trying to discourage anybody, but what I want you to do is understand that you cannot win a game in which you do not know the rules and play by the rules, and you will never succeed unless you do the heavy lifting. Remember this, everybody wants to jump on a moving train, but nobody wants to shovel the coal to get it going. Guys, the trains that make it to the station are the ones that are constantly fed with coal. So get the shovel and start shoveling the coal. Don't forget to follow me on social media at the Steve Freeman everywhere. If you'd like to take my free artist development masterclass, go to thestevefreeman.com and it will show you how to do a lot of this yourself. Stop wasting your time trying to find somebody else to do it and get busy doing it yourself. The podcast brought to you by artistdevelopmentacademy.com. If you want continued education to really show you how to do this on your own, to put yourself in a position to get that management company that you want, or to work with that publicist that you really want to work with that can help take you to the next level, you've got to have the information, you've got to have the access to the relationships, you've got to have the guidance, and you've got to have the education to get you there. We do all of that at the Artist Development Academy. You can find out more at artistdevelopmentacademy.com. Guys, as we end this episode, we're going to do it just like we do every other episode, and please take it to heart. Keep being creative. Keep pressing the boundaries. And there's nothing wrong with being independent. See you in the next one.
Thanks for joining us for the Steve Freeman Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and follow Steve on social media at the Steve Freeman.